Welcome to the Six Again podcast, your new destination for all things NRL. Here to bring you everything from team news to best bets are your hosts Adam Hoy and Jarrod Newton. Let's kick off.
What's that?
Yeah. That episode number. I love it how we jump in right when I've hit record. So you're just as good as it's perfect. The Six Again podcast, guys. My name's Adam, one of the regular co-hosts, and my other co-host, Jarrod, has taken a week off work, which also means he's taken a week off podcasting. So to easily fill his shoes, we've got a past guest in Nick Wally Wallace. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me. And here's to doing Jarrod out of a job, eh?
That's it. I love the week that both our teams lose. Jarrod's not here and his team gets the big wins. This is like even more.
Are you sure he didn't take the week off just to go on a 7-day bender for Newcastle's performance?
Breaking that 2-game losing streak against another team with a 2-game losing streak. Ooh.
I reckon I might take a month off the next Dragons win.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to say anything. We're the team that's given the Warriors their first back-to-back wins of the season. So
we gave them their first win of the season, so I feel your pain.
Oh, God damn it. God, we're in...
We started off on a very sad note here.
Well, like, if you're not a St George or a Manly supporter, you're probably like, especially if you're not a Manly supporter, you're loving how we're playing. But we just also looked before the show. We're still only sitting ninth, 2 points out of the finals. And I went, huh? And then realized everyone else around that has beaten each other, which is great.
Yeah.
It's kind of
the cavalry that you've got to come back to, and you've got a decent run home. So.
Yeah, I looked at our forward pack on the weekend. No Siren and no Thompson. And then no Fanua Blake, no Tapau.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce half of my players anymore. I'm looking at them going, fuck, who? You're not going to have Fanua Blake next week. Maybe you won't have Tapau. The other two come back. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to that. So, shit that's happened off the... if you haven't listened to Six Again before, welcome in. Basically what we do after each round is we do a breakdown of each of the games from the round, but we always do all the off-field stuff first, injuries, signings, and judiciary. And then we have a look at each of the 8 games and kind of see what the table's looking like. So we'll get straight into it. So this is kind of a big weekend with regards to milestones. I feel like a shitty Manly supporter because it was Des Hasler's 400th game. In typical Hasler fashion, it was kept very quiet. Not the result he wanted, but on the playing front, Mitch Aubasson bring up his 300th game. Tedesco bringing up 150. Woods and Dugan both bringing up their 200 games. And then club milestones, you got Wade Graham bringing up 200 for the Sharks and Gutherson bringing up 100 for the Eels. Any of them stand out as a surprise to you?
I can't believe it. Gutho's cracked up 100 for the Eels already. It doesn't seem like that Pangai is still playing for Manly.
Yeah, we'd have to say that. But, 100% agree. Like, you look at him, 100 games already for the Eels, and then you're looking at players like Dugan and Graham just hitting 200. And it's like...
Yeah, that's right.
He's already played half the game, and it shows the difference that injuries make. Like,
but that's the thing. Like, Gutho's copped his fair share of injuries over his career so far.
Yeah, it's just...
As well as the other two.
I think it was Jarrod and I was saying last week, Elijah Taylor. So we're looking at the West Tigers lineup. Why doesn't he come in and play hooker? And we're trying to say how many games he's played in the NRL. And I went,
He's been around for a long time.
And I was like, he'd have to be pushed. I said somewhere between 250 and 300. He's played
under 200.
He's played 130 something or 170 something, one of the two, because of the amount of injuries he's had. And I went, "Boosh!"
Yeah,
he's been around for.
I don't think I've ever seen him finish a game.
Oh, I just went, what? And then you got Aubasson at 300, and you went, holy shit!
Yeah,
but you
and he celebrated in style too. Scored a try, had a good win.
Yeah, they almost just gave him one by the look of it. Jesus. We'll talk about that one. But So outside of that, pretty much, we'll get to the Nathan Brown coaching thing in a sec, but I called this section Coaches in Quarantine. So I think over the last week we've had Wayne Bennett go out to a restaurant because he didn't know there was new rules or something. He said, well, it's quite confusing to keep up. And then you had Ryan Whitley, Blake Duncan and Alan Langer all get caught out at a pub on Caxton Street in Brisbane because they were at a private function. Paul Vaughan, what was his story?
Well, the initial story was that he used a fake name at a cafe.
Oh, that's right.
But like in the middle of Illawarra, so the middle of Dragons territory, and he's trying to sneak into the cafe with a fake name.
How many dudes are walking around like 8 foot, 200 kilos?
Yeah, and ridiculously tanned. And but then apparently he didn't use a fake name. He just didn't sign in at all, which I don't know if that's worse or not.
Can you just imagine him like behind a menu? It's like,
Yeah.
I'll just have like 3 cappuccinos and 4 big breakfasts, please. Don't make a deal out.
But yeah, it's just like on game day as well. Like you just could not get a bigger distraction. But
and McGregor blew him. McGregor blew his head at it, eh? Like,
oh, so he should though. Like we've already got the bell now. James Graham's been released. He's our senior forward, and
in a game that you guys had a sneaky chance in too. So
that's it. And our season's was on the line, and yeah, no, it's
well,
very frustrating as a fan.
I was going to give him like the biggest, like the dumbass award, but then we'll mention Anthony Seibold as well, having to stay in Sydney. So that was attending personal issues with regards to his eldest daughter who lives in Sydney. But I think out of all of them, that was the only one the NRL was made aware of ahead of time.
Yeah,
and then
different circumstances as well.
Yeah, so I love that though. Like it couldn't have been any more perfect, except for the fact that he went into quarantine after the Broncos South game. It would have been awesome that all this build up of words and then neither of them are there. Just like
sitting at home on the couch.
Oh, I would have loved to see like at halftime, instead of Demetriou and whoever the Broncos assistant is, like instead of them doing the halftime calls, just like massive big screens. And Bennett they just at home, just into the screen.
Well, did you hear all the South players Bennett shit about not being able to use technology?
Had his finger over the camera and he was like dropping out, and at the same time he's apologising for his misdemeanors, and the players were talking about him going, oh, he's only human, everyone makes mistakes. Like, how many times has he said that to them, do you reckon? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And then, so you're looking at
double standards, old Bennett.
And then you got, what's a club? There's a club in Brisbane that's been flying under the radar all year. There no stories about them. Broncos, that's them. So they're like, keep it low profile as per normal. You've got a player in their leadership group, one who's quit this week. Then another one's like, oh, you know what? I should be able to sneak out to a barber shop that has dealings with or links to bikies and be able to get away with it.
The most shocking thing about that story is that Tavita Pangai is in the leadership group.
Yeah, I was like, he's played what a good games. Jesus.
Yeah, about that. But honestly, like, what is going through his head? What I don't think there's
not much
that ever goes on through his head on the field or off the field. But you literally could not have had any more warning and the punishments that are getting handed out, and then literally just walks out. And it was the grand opening, so there were heaps of people around, and then the cops rock up. Like, just this sums up Broncos season.
It's just like, you're a leadership group in a club, and it's literally like, here's a big fuck you to the fans. I'm just going to go to an opening of a barber shop.
Well, the worst thing about it was he was apparently shopping himself around during the week as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I saw that was written by Hooper.
So who knows?
I'm pretty sure they've got agents and shit. Yeah, like
yeah.
I I think the two funniest comments I saw on that, one journalist wrote, Bikey's own barbershops now, which I thought was funny. And then one other guy was just going, why would Tavita Pangai be at a barber? He's got no hair. And I was going, You're completely missing the point. You're just scraping the barrel here for a story. But supposedly the cops were only called there because someone saw Pangai there. The NRL was alerted. And it was they didn't want it getting bigger or whatever it is. But so, yeah, I think like NRL's done such a good job of keeping all this stuff legit, no positive tests, anything like that. And then in 1 week you get 2 head coaches, 3 assistant coaches, and 2 players all in a week. And so since then, the Rabbitohs have called the head pandemic expert or medical expert for the NRL in for a refresher course because Sydney's back up on the top level restrictions again. Which supposedly was the whole team, and then Bennett on a screen. So that would have been pretty funny. So I guess
you've got to wonder though, like if there's been 6 or 7 people caught this week, how often has it been happening over the entire duration of this season?
Yeah, you'd say you've got to say it would, and you've got Vaughan and Pangai are big name players, so they're going to stand out. I remember this must have been a long time ago. I was at Splendour in the Grass one year, and I saw one of the NRL players standing up at the bar at the pub, and it took me 10, 15 minutes to work out who it was. Now, yeah, I'd had a few beers, but he wasn't well known, so he kind of like fitted in. He didn't have a huge crowd around him. It was Boyd Cordner, but that was before he was big. He just like, you could tell because he had the gap in his teeth. And I'm going,
and
what the hell is that? Yeah. The next day, we're at the festival, and Anthony Watmay walked past, like chick on each shoulder, just like fucking hammered, just like, ah. And I was like, holy shit, it's Watmay, because everyone knew who he was. But Cordner standing there having beers. He tries to do that now, no chance. Whereas if it's freaking like
exactly.
Stabansky or whatever, however, Shibasaki, from Knights. Everyone,
it was like we Buddy's Oaks Day last year. We saw Jake Turpin there, and it was probably only 5 Jake Turpin Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos. Yeah,
just probably 5 or 10 games into his career, and no one said a word. So me and Gherkin just snuck up and just got a quick photo with him. But like, just
snuck up with him.
Like you couldn't miss him with his little barcode haircut. Like. But yeah, like
Broncos logo just into the back of his head.
Yeah. But apparently with the bubble restrictions, it's different in Queensland. I overheard last night they were saying that for teams based in Queensland, if they haven't left Queensland for 2 weeks, they can get out of the bubble. Apparently. Yeah,
because we're not.
So that's like
there's been no new. The only cases in Queensland have come from interstate. There hasn't been any like shared cases in Queensland, community transmission. That's the thing. So I think that's why the whole AFL is pretty much in Queensland and WA at the moment.
Yeah, and that's it. Like because the Storm have played like 3 weeks in a row in Queensland, so they've just been outliving.
It's going to keep going because Melbourne had another 700 cases or something in one day this week, and
mate, it's the shambles.
Oh, that's
absolute shambles down there.
You should see like the states. The NHL's brought their season back, and they've done it in 2 bubbles. And they did 1,000 tests on the first day back, and they had 2 positive readings in 1,000 tests. The baseball started their season, but they've let everyone stay at their home ballparks. The Cardinals have had to postpone their last 3 series, so 9 days in a row, because they keep getting positive tests. And it's like,
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
I don't think there's going to be a country left after this, in America.
America's just fuck, man. Like the whole NHL restarts in Canada, and
oh really?
Yeah, that's in Toronto and Edmonton. So there's been 6 games a day, and they just keep bouncing games between each stadium, redoing the ice and letting them play again to get the whole playoffs done. It's been freaking epic. Like for a hockey fan, it's just been 12 hours almost solid of hockey. But they've had to do it in Canada because they can't trust anywhere in America. Still people.
Also,
Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, we're completely off topic. Anyway, Pangai, leadership group. Yeah, go Broncos. So he's out, I'd say. So their senior leadership group consists of Alex Glenn, Ben Teo, who's been back at the club for like 6 games.
Matt about 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, Matt Lodge, the best role model you'd want. And Tavita Pangai and Darius Boyd. So you now look at that group. You got Lodge, Glenn, and Teo, you'd say.
Oh, God.
Woo!
Oh,
In the front.
Well, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Broncos, putting it nicely, and like it's so good to see. Like I've seen, like I've been going through some hurt as a Dragons fan. I've seen a lot of clubs, Parramatta, Newcastle, go through the hurt. This is their first season that they're possibly going to finish in the bottom 4 in their history. Yeah. They don't know pain. They do not.
Yeah, they. And I've had a couple of comments from Broncos supporters saying you've beaten up on them lately. Like, yeah.
I've been getting beaten up.
Literally have not had a bad season since 1988. You're like,
yeah.
Did
they missed the finals once in their history? Is it?
No, they've missed it a couple of times more lately. Like they haven't been.
I think it's only been once or twice this millennium, like since 2000.
This is like the first season where shit's really hit the fan, and I'm here for it. They've got so much going their way that if they need to work their way through this, and I wouldn't say any other club, but there's a number of other clubs where if this was happening, this could turn into a 2, 3, 4, 5 year problem. Whereas a club like Broncos, they've got the facilities, the turnover, the money coming in. Once stuff gets back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later, they'll get straight back on with it. And there's still too much.
It's still an attractive club to go to, isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as they're struggling at the moment, but they're only probably 2 or 3 key signings away from turning things around.
Yeah. So we pick it on them, but hey, their young leaders group.
Let's see how loyal the fans are, I reckon.
Yeah, man.
That's how loyal the fans are.
So we've both sat through stuff. It's one that comes to mind is the whole Brett Stewart, Glenn Stewart, David Gallup thing, all that sort of stuff. How that treatment was happening. Then you had the payments in the bags in the car park. And then Hasler leaving and Cherry Evans thing and Foreign leaving. Then Watmo and that sort of stuff. And that was 2-3 years in a row. I'm trying to think what's been your worst one?
I've just pretty much just been shit for so long.
Yes. I'm just trying to think. Steve Price.
We haven't had too many off-field stuff. It's probably the biggest off-field thing we've had probably been Jack DeBellin, really.
That's
but
true.
It's been substandard performances since Bennett's left, really.
I was going on to our next story, the Nathan Brown signing for the Warriors. I was reading back just on his coaching career, and I'd completely forgotten about when he slapped Trent Barrett on the sideline. He got fined $5,000 for that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he came back and won that game.
No, he got belted. Newcastle and Manly. Actually, in the game, it was like...
I'm thinking of the different game against Manly where we came back and beat us.
Well, it's fails. So this is the weirdest thing. I was reading that, and I think it was like 14 something. Manly was winning, but you guys had dominated. And then we ended up winning that game 36-12. I think the score was something like that. And then later that year, something else happened, but it was against Manly again. He blew up at the refs or made comments about the refs or something, and Manly smashed him like 38-12. I was like, fuck, we must have cursed you then, because then you turned into our bogey club of the last 5 years. We couldn't seem to pick up. But I'd completely forgot about it, and I didn't know at the time that he got fined $5,000 for what, slapping his player?
That's honestly the first thing that comes to mind when you mention Nathan Brown.
Yeah.
Slapping a Trent Barrett.
Because then I went back and watched it, Lance Thompson standing there like...
The funniest thing is, right, like they would have played together too, Nathan Brown and Trent Barrett.
Yeah.
They were in the 90s
Yeah.
grand final team together. And then like 6 years later, Brown's just slapping the shit out of him.
I'd love it like when they first coach against each other. Whether instead of a handshake, he just walks up and fucking just smacks him one right in front of
I would have loved to have seen like Trent Barrett hire Nathan Brown as an assistant coach or something.
Oh, that
Yeah.
that'd be so good. But on that hiring, so Jarrod and I talked on the last episode, something about Nathan Brown seeing this as his last, whatever his next NRL coaching job was going to be, would be his last chance. And he wanted to have success doing it because the Dragons and the Knights gigs, I'd say like the percentage, the winning percentage doesn't show success, but I think in both clubs, especially probably at the Dragons more so, he put them in a position to win with the roster he put together there.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure
when Bennett came in, who did he bring in? Yeah, so
Bennett as coaching staff or players?
Players. He brought Boyd, and Boyd was
he brought
for you guys.
Jeremy Smith. He brought a lot of senior players, more like Jeremy Smith, Neville Costigan.
Bennett brought in.
Yeah, I think he got Michael Wayman as well.
Okay, that's a pretty big call.
So he probably brought about 4 or 5 like just senior players that just sort of were tough and just knew the way to go about things.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, yeah, like Brown always did a reasonable job. I think he took us to 2 prelims in that period when he was coaching.
It's kind of funny how he left Dragons, Bennett came in, and then when Bennett left Knights, Brown came in. So it was kind of like Brown set up the base for that premiership winning team, and Bennett finished it off and put his own spin on things. But then at the Knights, I think it's more than fair to say that, Bennett made that place worse. Tinkler obviously had a hand in it or two. But I think what Brown did there was a success overall. Yeah, they received 2 wooden spoons in a row, but with a roster like that, it was going to happen. You look at what they've got out on the other side, the experience that he gave to Fitzgibbon and Barnett, and they were huge on the weekend, and they're forming a really good partnership. I reckon, what did he say? Like, his first conference, like the first he was talking about to the media, he straight up said, there has to be roster changes. We have to see what young players are fighting to be there. What mature players need to be moved on. It's just like coming out. He hasn't even gotten over there yet, met all the players. He's already saying, there's going to be changes. That's kind of what you want. And
he did spend time there in the preseason, so he probably has a good concept of what the club's about.
Oh, that's true, yeah. How things happen.
Yeah, because I think he was helping out with the hookers. But I was a bit disappointed, actually. I was hoping Todd Payton would stay on because he's really got the Warriors like banded together as a group, and like they want to play for him. You can see that. So it was a bit disappointing when he actually stood down, obviously for family reasons. So can't hold that against him. But they're just a team you want to see do well this year after all the sacrifices they've made.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't against Manly, but yes,
yeah,
with that too. I think the Payton thing. He said, "I'll stay on as assistant coach next year," but he's put his hat in the ring for the head coaching job at North Queensland because he's been an assistant there before as well. And obviously the stuff going on, he wants to be in Australia. I know. So with the Nathan Brown coaching job, they've also hired Gus Gould in a consulting position. Now, earlier this week, it'd be late last week, Gus Gould put in his application for a player agent license, and he's retracted that since he's been given this job. So the understanding, I guess, that they've put out that is Gus is going to be involved in everything development-wise and marketing-wise. So putting together a performance centre, a nursery, all the stuff they did at Penrith. that is still ultimately successful. What soured the Penrith thing was his input into the NRL side of things. So it looks as though Cameron George, has basically said Brown's in charge of NRL. He's in charge of NRL roster. He's in charge of, you'd say, their feeder side. But Gould's in charge of everything else, building our brand, getting our market, holding on to our players. I think he's also been given permission to develop in the Pacifica region as well, start trying to get talent from out there. So that's perfect thing for like Gould. He'll be, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how much he's still on TV, all that sort of stuff, considering he'll be based in New Zealand.
I'm gonna be very interested to see how he goes about this, because he's been a very big critic of the Warriors in the past, and he said they should be the most dominant team in the comp. They got got a whole country to pick from and develop talent. They've got all of the Pacifica region, blah blah blah. So this will be see if he can back up his big.
I don't mind it. I think that everything that went wrong in Penrith was him having too much say in the NRL thing. Like
he had his finger in every
Griffin thing. It's if they can keep that separate, and I don't think Brown's going to be one to shy away from that sort of thing, saying, mate, you're encroaching here or whatever. He'll call him out. And anyway, so I think his first things, we're looking for a middle forward and we're looking for a strike centre. So I'm thinking middle forward. First thing that came to mind was DeBellin, because Warriors are going to have more money.
Before I left this afternoon, I saw there was a headline saying that DeBellin's linked with a move away from the Dragons, and a little bit of my heart just.
Well, he's in line for a $200,000 upgrade, and he hasn't done anything.
Oh no!
He hasn't been playing.
Honestly,
he could be on more money.
Yeah, don't get me started on the whole DeBellin thing. I could be here for a while.
Yeah, so that's what he said. A middle forward and a strike centre, and there's a fair few of them coming off contract that he might be looking at now, and that's kind of one of the things the Warriors have lacked is a strike centre. You got Mamalo and Fusatura on the wings, but they've always just had kind of like a stopgap, whether it be Hiku or Beale or Pompey or Herbert there.
They haven't had that complete centre. They've either got a good defensive centre or it's like Peter Hiku is a great attacking centre. He can always link up as winger, but his defence is disgraceful.
Yeah.
So they just.
Or they had Carter and Hurrell who wouldn't pass it to the wings. Boom.
But the funny thing is though, so they're on their list of they've got a hit list of the people they want to target to sign.
Yeah.
And on that list is Ewan Aitken, who is exactly the same as Conrad Hurrell and Buddy Solomon Carter in the fact that he can run the ball, he can't pass.
He can't pass. He cannot.
No.
Because he was being lined up for Manly when you guys were looking at Sully, kind of like a swap deal, and I went...
I've got to say, he's played really well since he's come back in after getting dropped, but he still can't pass.
No. Not that Sully can really either. But,
no, but he can also,
So I looked back into it and going, all right, so Brownie's been in charge of St. George and Newcastle with 2 wooden spoons. So 245 NRL games he's coached with a winning percentage of 47.5. And I thought, considering the roster that's pretty good.
Absolutely, because he wouldn't have had a winning percentage. He would not have had above 40% at Newcastle in any of his years there, would he? Maybe the last year?
I don't think
above
so.
40?
I love a lot. That doesn't ring a bell.
I think they finished 11th or something that last year. Maybe.
Well, that still wouldn't be a winning record, you'd say.
No, but yeah, when you think about it, you can't doubt that the bloke knows his footy and knows how to coach.
So his win record at Newcastle's 26. 26%. So 94 games, 24 wins. So 47% can't be right. It must be 42%. I must have just written down it on a bit of a slant. That'd be me considering I'm right with a broken finger.
Yeah, how'd you manage that, mate?
Oh, wait on. There's the equals button. Yeah, sorry, 42 and a bit percent, not 47. And then,
Still
but
impressive when you think about it.
yeah, and then in the Super League though, 59.1% win record. Now he jumped in with Huddersfield, led them to a Challenge Cup final, and then won the Super League title with St Helens, who have been one of the premier clubs there for a long time. But he also made a prelim final with St George when he was coaching. So he's had success. I think it's a good move. I don't think he's going to take. I think he's going to run a pretty stern line, a firm line. But it'll be interesting to see if that's going to create tension. We'll say, like, you look back at their coaches that they've had. That Anderson for a while, that was probably one of their best sustained periods of success. Who's the other one I'm thinking of?
Cleary was probably the
Cleary, yeah.
successful one.
So it's going to be interesting. I think it's a good sign. I also still think that they took what they could get after they tried acting tough and everyone called their bluff.
Well, I find it interesting the fact that Brown actually withdrew his application initially, and he only put his hat back in the ring once he heard that Todd Payton pulled out.
Well, I thought I read the Warriors contacted him, like recontacted him. It was a chat a couple of months ago, and he wasn't really interested. And both Jarrod and I said they made a bit of a mistake just saying no outright to Tuvi when they didn't really have a leg to stand on. It's not like they've had any period of real success. And anyway. And so poor old Tubes. There's got to be an investigation. He probably started launching his own. Ivan Cleary fined 20 grand for making a comment that Canberra were managed back into the game against Penrith, and then says he's going to appeal the 20 grand fine by saying he wasn't attacking the integrity of the referees. I feel as though they managed back into the game, but I'm not attacking the integrity.
He actually worded his comments pretty well, like in the press conference. He said there were a few strange calls.
Yeah, I never really that bit. That's fine.
He never really the managed thing, but in the moment that he said they were managed back into the game, he never actually stated the referees managed them back into the game.
No.
He was careful with his wording.
I think it's still very much insinuated what he meant though. Like, who's going to manage them back into the game?
Yeah, but the Canberra team.
Yeah, the Canberra team. They manage themselves back into the game.
Worthy of a 20 grand fine? I don't think so. I've heard much worse, and they only get 10. Yeah,
well, it was kind of what did Blenny say? It's a condemnable offence because as soon as you discuss either directly or indirectly the integrity of the referees, that's crossed the line. So they've come down hard on him. He says he's going to appeal, so it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. But that's pretty much everything off field. Well, it's not like freaking NRL's a soap opera. There could be anything else going on.
Actually, the most recent thing I've seen is McGregor's apparently going to be reviewed after the Parramatta game again.
So I've got a couple of questions with regards to the Dragons. They are the first game up. We'll cover injuries and stuff first. But one thing, a little bit of a history lesson. 1907, August 10th is the day that Dally M. Messenger decided to jump from rugby union to rugby league. And that was pretty much the turning point for rugby league, which got it.
Absolutely.
So, those who don't know what the Dally M is named after, it's named after Dally M. Messenger, who was an Australian rugby union player and decided to come over and play rugby league and was pretty much the catalyst for the start of the New South Wales Rugby League comp and what we have now. All right, so injuries. I've updated this from even yesterday. So just run through these. Big one, Cam Munster again, 2 to 3 weeks with a medial ligament. Same knee as He was out in round 7. Did not look good when he landed. Jake Averillo had a hip pointer injury. Should be good for the weekend. Billy Walters, unfortunately, MCL and ACL, 9 months off for him.
Was it both?
Yeah, both. So not great news. Good news for Canberra. Sevilla Havili looked as though he was going to have some time with a tricep strain, but it was a strain, not a tear, so that hopefully he should play this weekend. Like I mentioned before, Adam Fanua-Blake from Manly's done a PCL, so he's out for a month. Marty Tapausa surpassed the HIA through the week after that hit from Hethrington. Tariq Sims, AC joint in the shoulder, still waiting on any further information on that. And Harry Grant, we know, is out for 3 to 4 weeks after having surgery to clean out some knee damage. So no actual tears or ruptures or anything in Harry Grant's knee. It looked as though it was just maintenance. So big ones there, obviously Harry Grant, especially. It's not much of a. It's a bit too much of a coincidence that the last 2 games the Tigers have played, he hasn't been there. And it's interesting considering such a young guy's had such a big impact on a team. But you look at the points totals that they've scored in the last couple of weeks, and a lot of it has come from his service at hooker. We talked with Cameron Smith being out how important months it was going to be, and he was. We'll see what the Storm do from here. No Smith, no Munster.
Especially against the Roosters this week.
Yes, and Roosters may have some big ins.
Against the Roosters. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yeah, we'll cover the ins on Wednesday's show because things can change between now and then. But there's whispers and turn into statements that Roosters will have a fair few back in. So we'll see. Judiciary. Start Jackson forward 2 weeks for tripping Cleary. It's pretty obvious, that one. So it was 3 weeks, but he got 2 weeks with early guilty plea.
Can I ask your opinion on that one? So, like, it was a trip.
Yeah.
But, so he actually grabbed Cleary to start with, got palmed, and then threw the leg out. Every other time someone does that, they get a fine. Why is he
carry over?
I don't think he's ever been charged before. He's only played like 10 games.
I'll have to have a look. I don't know.
Not that it's a massive loss, but I mean, just.
Oh, with Paul Vaughan out, it could be.
Yeah, true. But
Jackson Ford, Croker. Anton early guilty plea was hit with a grade 3 offence for his tackle in which he upended Cleary by using his leg. So that's what they've written down as an upending tackle through the use of his leg from a tripping. Oh.
Yeah. Josh Reynolds has been kicking people in the shins for years and he only gets one.
Maybe it's the inversion. Now, I found this one interesting. Jake Friend and Ryan Hall could both escape with a early guilty plea.
That Ryan Hall one
was... Okay, no, that was... Yeah, I'm just watching the replay of it. That's pretty dumb. Jackson Ford.
Like, the tackle was completed.
No, it kind of wasn't. No, he never actually...
I've seen it in slow motion a lot of times.
He never actually had contact with him. It was literally, he was beaten for pace and he literally lunged out a leg. It was like that. He kind of just got his hand.
Oh, the Jackson Ford one.
Yeah. Which one are you talking about?
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Ryan Hall.
No, it was, oh my, that's like a full sliding tackle in soccer. That's so dumb. Yeah, no, that was stupid. Far out. Yeah, so Ryan Hall could escape with an early guilty plea, but he's deciding to fight it. Even if he's proven incorrect, he'll still escape a 1 week ban because he's got a 7-year good behaviour reward. Like, he hasn't been charged in 7 years.
He doesn't get involved.
What he's arguing over is 50 or 75 carryover points. So if he puts in an early guilty plea, he'll get 75 carryover points. But if he fights it and gets off, he only gets 50 carryover points.
I don't know what he's
all these appealing for, because he's not going to miss a week either way, whether he's overturns it or doesn't.
Did you see the tackle?
No.
So Lomax has beaten him and scored in the corner, and the Hall's wrapped up around.
Oh, is it that one?
Yeah, and then
the twist of the leg, yeah.
And then he just decides to just roll over and just twist the
leg. Okay.
Like, oh.
Yeah. Anyway. That could go either. I looked at that.
Can't trust
I love ones like this. Tyrone Peachy, careless tackle, maybe fined between $850 and $1,150. Based on
is it early guilty plea $850 and
no, that doesn't even have that. It just says will be fined within a range of $850 to $1,150. Within it, well,
just how they're feeling
guilty plea. How early does he? I don't freaking know. But I got these two for last. Like this one kind of shitted me a little bit. So Jack Hethrington smacks the power around the jaw, swinging arm. He'd been beaten for footwork, swung an arm up. Would have been 5 weeks if he'd fought it. 4 weeks with an early guilty plea, was sin bin during the match. Now, talks around whether it was a sin bin or a send off. When I saw it live, like fast motion, I went, "Ooh, it's not a good shot."
Didn't look good.
It didn't look good, but I wasn't immediately thinking send off. Not immediately. And then I saw the replay that it was pretty much an entire swinging arm with a closed fist.
You can see what he was trying to. He was trying to hit just over the top of the ball, but just got it well.
And he got it wrong. When you saw it in slow motion and saw where it hit Tapau's not the smallest dude on the field. Like to knock him down. And then when I saw it in the replay, I went, you know what? He could get sent here. Rugby union, that would have been a send off straight up. They wouldn't have even.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I'm looking at going, if that's not a send off, you've got to fucking like premeditate, run out of the line and belt someone in the head.
It's hard to determine what actually is the criteria for a send off these days.
Yeah, and Henry Marinara, I'm thinking, yeah, I thought live, I went sin bin, he's in trouble, he's going to get suspended. When I saw the replay, I went, that's probably a send off. But it's not the first thought. The one that I thought,
especially the fact that Tapau was knocked out, or not completely out, but he was knocked out of the game essentially. He didn't return.
Yeah.
I know you can't always tell if they're going to come back into the game or not, but like I don't know. I'm a bit in between. Like if it had been a send off, you would have been like, yeah, righto, but at least it was a sin bin at the very least.
I think that's the example of where the NRL's still talking about and probably looking at next year, that 18th man, where if you lose a player to an injury like that, a HIA, you can bring someone else back onto your bench. Your 18th man can then come your next sub because...
Well, this would have been the perfect year for that because there's no lower grade. So you could carry that 18th man and they're getting some sort of game time. And every game there's someone getting ruled out with that HIA.
Yeah. It's if you're going to try anything, it's this year. So, but what shitted me though was you had that, and then you had Lachlan Lewis's tackle on Cam Munster, which to me, I thought that was worse. One, because Cam Munster wasn't even facing the direction. He was turning, the ball had like popped up and he was turning backwards, and he's literally turned around to a swinging arm with a fist that smacked him.
It did hit the chest first.
It hit here and moved up, but I think there was almost more. He had a hell of a lot of time to pull out of that one. He didn't even have to put that shot on, and the fact that it literally took Munster off the ground, and you could see the force and the whiplash of his head when he got hit.
It wasn't a good few minutes for Munster.
No, and then he does another shot. And then he gets misstepped again later in the game and gets Adokar around the head. So the same thing in one game. He's got 1 week and $550. 1 week for his shot on Munster, $550 for Adokar. And I went, that compared to 4 weeks or 5 weeks.
So I think the difference between that would be Lachlan Lewis, I reckon, would have a clean record, whereas Jack Hethrington has been suspended a lot in his short career.
Yes, this is true. But that, to me, that's a pretty big differential for two shots that weren't drastically different.
Did you see the John Bateman one?
From this week?
Yeah, I can't remember who he got. Was it Mansell, maybe? And it was late in the game, and it was this terrible passage of play. Then John Bateman put this shit kick in, and then whoever it was from Penrith picked it up, run at him, and he's just come through with a swinging arm, just clocked him straight in the throat. Nothing. He got penalised. That was it. No sin bin. It was just purely out of frustration, and you could see he was doing it to hurt someone because he was frustrated.
Yeah, we all know what that feels like. I've never been tall enough to hit anyone in the head, so neither of us.
Usually one of us getting hit in the head.
I'd literally have to leave the ground to be able to head high someone. And they have to stay still because otherwise they'd just palm me midair. So, yeah, I just thought there was a big discrepancy between the two. But in all honesty, for the Bulldogs, Lewis spending a week on the sidelines probably does more good than harm for them.
Absolutely.
He's just
average.
Oh, that's being polite. I don't see first grade quality with him. It's just we'll come to their game later, and he's just decision making in both. He's a good defender when people run straight at him. Like he can tackle. He can tackle pretty damn well for a half, but the decision making of when to is horrible.
That's the thing. Like as a half,
all round,
your main job is to control the game and make sure points are coming. Like if
if you could start doing that,
you'd rather a poor defensive half than a poor attacking half.
Oh.
Like look at Jamie Soward, for example.
Yeah, but if you're a poor defensive half, you've got to be a good attacking half, and he's neither.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Like you'd rather a poor defensive half than a poor attacking half.
Yeah, true.
Because you can cover that. Like if you've got a good defensive centre and a good back row, you can sort of cover that to an extent.
Oh. The Bulldogs have gotten to the point where they've got Josh Jackson as a second man play at the back. Like when you've got to the point where you're giving Josh Jackson the license to quick the ball out, which led directly to a Storm try because it landed on the ground. Vunivalu kicked it through and scored. He literally missed his mark by close to 1.5 meters, 2 meters that he threw behind the line.
I'm pretty sure he also threw one into touch later in the game too.
Far out, man. Like you got to pick your players for that. Signings. There's been a couple since then. So Anthony Don is good. He's signed on for another year.
Yeah, the Don.
Titans. Blake Green, we've already met.
I can't believe they took so long. To re-sign him.
Yeah, it's. I'm thinking they'd put a hold on all signings until the Fafita thing got across the line and how much money to utilise. But even with this, I think we looked at this a few weeks ago. They should still have close to $400 to $500 at the end of the season to chase someone.
They've got one spot in their roster left, don't they?
Well, there you go. There's one more. I did say, looking at Kevin Proctor, I would have moved him on. But then looking at the last 2 weeks and his comments after their win this week could change that. This is interim from the Knights. So they've signed Blake Green till the end of this year. But they've also signed this young kid. I've never heard of him. And I looked him up. Dominic Young. He signed on for 3 years from the Super League. He's a centre or a winger. He's 198 centimetres, and he's only 18. He made his Super League debut as a 17-year-old. One, it's pretty rare to have a centre making their debut at that age and that size. And then it's pretty rare also for them to come over the NRL straight away. Usually, like Callum Watkins when he came over, Sam Tompkins when he came over in the back. So usually have made a name for
themselves.
Yeah. So I think it's a really interesting signing by the Knights. They must see something in him. Ryan James has been confirmed for the Raiders, 21 to 2023. And Tom Eisenhuth has signed a 2-year extension with the Storm to keep him there till the end of 2022. All right. all up to date. Let's get cracking on these games. So Wally's probably going to be more knowledgeable than me on this. I will be honest. As I've mentioned multiple times, I'm a huge ice hockey fan, and with everything going on, there's been 6 games a day. And I've watched a hell of a lot more ice hockey this weekend than I watched leagues. So I crammed last night, lunchtime at work and this afternoon, getting all the, what are they called, mini games in. I've got key points out of them. And I actually quite enjoyed doing that. I might do that each week again.
How good are the minis?
They're so good. I just love being able to pause it. Oh,
yeah.
And just watching. I was watching the defensive reads and looking at specific skills of the players and how they were creating tries. Like Luke Cleary, how he schooled Tristan Saylor, and just got him to freeze. Oh man! And just watching that, the fake around the back, popped it to himself, and Saylor just froze and looking for the inside run, and then just shot past and just went, man.
Was it?
God,
there was one later in the game as well with I think he put Tupanua through, and you just see Kieran, and he's got the back rower here, but his eyes are just on Saylor the whole time, and he just waits for him to plant his feet, and then just goes bang, short ball.
Boom. Yeah, I think I hate saying, but I 100% agree with what Trent Robinson said. It's a joy to watch Kiri play at the moment. He's just that little guy running around, all the big guys just having fun. That's the game.
Pace too.
Yeah, he's as short fella. I enjoy watching him play. I just don't like it when he gets concussed.
No.
So Thursday night's game. This was the this year's representation of the Anzac Day clash. So it was a 105-year anniversary of the Battle of Lone Pine. I hope I'm saying that right. So they had the Anzac Day trophy. I almost said shield then. Trophy there between the Roosters and the Dragons. And I tipped Dragons this week because I said on the preview show that if they're going to have a chance at finals this year, and if they're ever going to have a chance against the Roosters, it's this game with the list of Roosters that were missing. And we rattled them off. They were missing 9 of their starting 13. Both their entire back row, both centres, a winger.
Both wingers.
Half.
Morris and Tupou.
Both Morrises, Tupou, Crichton, Radley, Cordner, Hargraves. Sorry, Barrels?
Yeah.
So you said.
Well, he's I guess he's not part of it.
No, well, Flanagan, depending on how you look at that. That's a lot. And I figure, all right, they've got a crack here, the Dragons, who have looked all right without winning, especially with Lomax and Dufty, who, again, both looked really good. Yeah, they couldn't get done. 10-all at halftime. I'm like, yeah, I'm in this. What I've got here, Kiri just was the man, scored one, put one on, like I said, schooled Tristan Saylor, the dummy and run. Aubasson getting a try in his 300th. What did you take out of it, buddy? I think were you with me on your tipping?
No, I tipped the Roosters.
Oh, that's right. When you found Paul Vaughan.
Yeah. When I found out Paul Vaughan was out, I changed to the Roosters. It was a very frustrating game for me. We literally, so I recorded the game because I had a committee meeting for cricket. So I'm like, I'll come back and watch it. I got home after 10 o'clock, chuck it on, literally walk to the fridge, crack a beer, sit down. Tarek Sims already dropped the ball and the Roosters have scored. I'm like, am I really going to sit through this? And it's just the frustrating thing about being a Dragons fan right now is we're playing like 55 to 60 good minutes of footy. And then the other 20, 25 minutes, we just make simple errors and then we just can't defend them. And we just put ourselves under too much pressure to start with. And the Roosters were pretty sharp to start the game. And we got back into the arm wrestle, which was good. And got a couple of tries, 10-0 at half time. I was happy, but then straight away second half, two or 3 minutes into the second half, they score, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with Mary.
That was that Cleary try around Sailor down that shorts down the side that got
I think 2-0 ended up scoring. Yeah. And like even that, we scrambled well, and then they just had more people around the ball, and they just did little things right.
Something before that you just said there, we just couldn't defend. That's like the complete opposite of you guys from last year, where defense kept you in so many games.
Yeah.
And we said
attacks actually looks pretty good this year.
Yeah. We said last week that your previous 3 games, you'd scored 26 points, 28 points, and 24 points, and only won one of them.
Yeah,
You mentioned the Dragons last year couldn't score 10 points and just going, but they can't defend.
Yeah, I think we scored 24 or more points 3 times this year and lost.
Yeah.
That goes to pretty much show. It's just inconsistent, and I guess we really lack that half that can control a game. That's what it comes down to.
So
and this whole moving Ben Hunt between halfback and hooker mid-game is just doing my head in.
I was about to say that. It's the second week in a row where Tristan Saylor's come on to 5'8", Hunt's gone to hooker, and McInnes has gone to lock. Now, I think everyone sees it bar Ben Hunt. He's a hooker rather than a half. He doesn't have the creativity and the control for 80 minutes to be able to do it as a half.
I think it could be a good half if you had the right other half beside him. If you had someone that can just take the pressure off him, and then he can just run the ball and just play what's in front of him.
Kind of like a Jerome Luai, Nathan Cleary sort of situation. Where
pretty
he just
much
controls and does everything, and Luai will jump in for a try assist every second.
That's right. But in saying that, I mean, at the moment, I think we have to play Hunt at hooker, and McInnes at lock. Like, they've formed a 1-2 punch. Like, we look so much better when Hunt's at hooker because McInnes gets in, takes 15 hit-ups, and he always gets quick play the ball. And then Hunt can just get out of
Sailor has looked good. Like, he's made mistakes as you do as a young player, but he's got a short kicking game on him. He's athletic. He's quick off the mark. He's going to make his poor defensive reads, but that comes with experience and the position.
Yeah.
Actually, at this stage,
the frustrating thing
the last 6 to get in the finals.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, which is not looking too good. But the thing is with Sailor, like the game against South, we bring him on with 15 minutes to go, and we're chasing points.
Yeah.
Like, you bring a young bloke on, chuck him in the halves, and he's just going to try and make up for lost time. So he's going to overplay his hand, which he did. He threw an intercept, and then they scored.
Yeah.
Like, just start him.
Yeah.
Start him. Let him work his way into the game. Don't just be, can you be a saviour for us? But the thing,
I'll be starting in with Clune next week.
Yeah, that you have to. Especially with like losing Jackson forward and Tarek Sims is probably out. Like we're short and forward, so you're going to have to play McInnes at lock, I think. But yeah, I think we just need to give the keys to Clune and just say you're controlling the team, you're doing the kicking, and then Sailor can just do what he's doing. Because
Hunt can kick from half. Hunt can kick from hooker. Like we've seen him kick a 40 origin from hooker. Huh?
It's honestly, I don't know how his kicking game is better out of dummy half than it is a half.
Oh yeah. He's a dummy half. His defense is good through the middle. He can be creative when he wants to. He's got enough speed to pick and run. I think that's the way to
I'm
go.
liking what I'm seeing from Adam Clune. He's improving every week. Good defensively. And you can tell he's a touch footy player, right? Because he's just like, he goes from slow to fast really well, and he sort of digs into the line without actually getting to the line, but keeps him interested and then throws those cutout balls. And our attack actually looked really good in the second half with him and Sailor because it was just eyes up footy and they was spreading the ball. And
that's the difference, not playing to... that's one of the things I made a note here about Lewis later in the Bulldogs one. When he threw the intercept for the Melbourne Storm first try, he didn't even look at the defensive line once. It was just, this is our structure. I'm just going to hoik it And, yeah, they had an overlap, but they had to go through the hands because he floated the ball and it was in the air for almost a second. Adokar's just like, okay. And there's no heads up. He got it. He looked like this and just went like that. And you're going, fuck, man, just look up.
I think it's a very much a young person thing to do. I think like you go through, you're like, this is what I did at training. I must have to do it in the game rather than actually adjusting to what you see. Because like Dufty did the same thing last week against Rabbits. Like since he's come back into the team, he's been really good at chiming in and then throwing that cutout ball and hitting either Lomax or Aitken in the gap. But then teams adjust, and then Alex Johnson's like, well, he's got to go for the cutout ball. He could have just hit Frizzell, and Frizzell would have walked through, goes for the miracle ball, and then Johnson picks it up and runs 90 and just changes the game. So. And
then the other thing, he plays heads up and grubs through for himself to score a try. There's no fullback.
Yeah.
And he's like...
That's it, so...
I thought, huge positive though, Zach Lomax just keeps... 6 weeks ago, I'm going, I should probably get him my fantasy side. I'm looking at him last week going, he's almost 700 grand. I went...
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember what I said to you? We had the discussion about Lomax last time I was on here.
Yeah.
And Jarrod was like, do you rate him? And I'm like, yeah, I do. He's a centre.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the problem with him is we play him at fullback, then we play him at centre, then we play him at wing the next week. He just never had a consistent run in the position. So how do you expect him to improve week to week when he's getting thrown into these different positions? Then all of a sudden, Mary said, right centre's your spot. And now look at him. He's, one try off the leading try scorer?
Yeah, he's killing it. And he's scoring him in different ways. Like, his first try, it wasn't given it. He was, 8 metres out, but he got it almost at a standstill. Had to palm a guy, his back was to the sideline, turn, put the accelerator on, and then got to the corner. And the second one was chasing through on a grubber. So, and other tries he scored is just palming people off, creating his own space. He's scoring a whole bunch.
He's just 100% effort on every play, which is good. Like, he's the only person that you'll ever see in the Dragons team contesting a bomb. Every time there's a bomb up, he's just pinned
through there. He might pick it back. So if I could take it back out of your back line to my club, it'd be him.
Yeah. I've got to say, for considering our back five are very... Well, they're not really any big names. They've actually been doing a really good job. Ravalawa's getting a bit better every week. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Same thing with Dufty. He's getting the consistent run without the fear of, you have one bad week, you'll get cut.
Yeah, I've been one of Dufty's biggest critics, but he's been, since he's come back in, all our points have come off him, essentially.
And he's got pace. So much pace.
Yeah, and you can't substitute that. He's still got a few things to work on defensively and probably positioning wise as a fullback, but he's improving every week, which is good to see.
So the other thing, like in this game, you've got, and I know this from Manly's to, I'd like to say recent premierships, but not so much anymore. 8 and 11 and St George's in 10. One of the key things to win a premiership is that luck with injuries. Not having injuries to your key players. We just mentioned Roosters were missing 9. They're on a 3-game winning streak. And you look at the amount of players that they've been missing and the players that they've been missing. And they're still in the top 4. That's, I think,
it's a sign of a good club. There's the next person in, and they just know what their role is. And
we'll get to the Storm and what they went through in this game as well. And it's looking like, they haven't beaten big name teams. They went down to the Raiders at 20, but then they've beaten the Warriors 18-10, Titans 18-12, and then you guys 24-16. If anyone watched the Warriors Titans games, they weren't playing poorly. Like Titans last week played a damn good game against the Roosters, and they didn't score till right towards the end, and the Warriors the same. But a win's a win, man. Like, that's 6 points instead of, look at Manly, no points in 3 weeks, and they're going through injuries as well. Less injuries, but key personnel. yeah, they're still sitting fourth.
Yeah, they're a team to watch. That, like, you look at the Roosters the last 2 years, they start slow, then they hit this probably 2 months where they're absolutely killing it, then they hit another flat spot, and then 2 or 3 weeks out from the finals, they'll get everyone back. And the good thing is, all their bench players have had this time during the year, so because they've been filling in for all these people that have been out, so then they're ready to go, and it's just next person in, mate. Like, you look at every successful club, it takes a squad to win a premiership. It doesn't take 18 or 19 players.
100% agree.
Like that, and that's why, like, and then you think they're bringing Sonny Bill back into the equation. Like, yeah, as much as he's probably not
Does
what
he get
he
in?
was, and you find a spot for him in the 17.
Yeah, it'll be a bench, but yeah, it'll get in. And you think, like, we mentioned it last week, they dropped the leading point scorer in the league in Cole Flanagan. Because it's for his development. He's got stuff he needs to work on, and I just went, "Fuck, man, that's the club I want."
It's just
always striving for more.
It's probably similar to what Michael Maguire's trying to do too. He said, "This is the standard, and you're not quite meeting it at this stage. So just because we're winning, we're not going to,
settle.
Just continue the way we are."
I think that, and we'll touch on the Storm later. To me, they're the only two teams that can win this year.
Although each week I'm getting warmer and warmer on Penrith.
I've still got one reservation about them, that no matter how well they play this year, they're not going to squash until finals. But we'll get to that one. First game on Friday night. So that's a win to the Roosters 24-16. Like we mentioned, Dragons have to win their last 6 to get them to 20 points. Jarrod and I had 22 points as the cutoff for top 8. So Dragons.
We don't have a terrible.
Another one.
I think the last. Oh, actually, we do. Yeah, I think we got Parramatta this week, and then to finish we got Storm and Newcastle. So it might not be.
That's pretty tough.
Great. Yeah,
and
we do have a 3-week period though. That's pretty good.
They'll be right. So first game Friday night. Yeah.
Sure, you want to talk about it?
So I was just trying to think. Like, I missed the start of this game. I was trying to think, what was I doing Friday? I can't remember. There's something else. Addie had a doctor's appointment, eye appointment. So I got home and got the kids settled, and it was a bit late. I'm like, we got Warriors at home. This should be all right. Turned it on. It was 16-0. And I went, oh, shit. And I went back and looked at the start of the game. Cherry Evans catches the ball off the kickoff, looks around for someone to pass to. Oh, shit, I better start running. Gets tackled over the sideline. I went, all right. Manly doesn't touch the ball for another 5 minutes. Warriors get back.
The tone, something like that.
Sets. And then, fuck, man, they were out 16-0 in 16 minutes. And I was just going, oh, one of these games, eh? I knew we had the talent in that to come back. And Manly had a comeback of sorts. But, all right, Cherry Evans gets tackled out. I mean, that's not great. 5 sets in a row, that's not great. But then Cody Nikorima's cross-field kick, chip bomb to Herbert, fly.
In the wet.
Pissing down rain. I went, okay, one of those games, right? Okay, we're screwed. And then, so 16-0, scoring a point a minute. Vanilla Blake goes off early with what we hope was a cork leg, ends up being a PCL. He doesn't come back. Manly great comeback, but the sad thing is all of our points were scored against 12 men. So Kyle Lawton gets sin bin.
They had 2 sin bins, didn't they?
Yeah. So Kyle Lawton gets sin bin for tackling Trbojevic with when he didn't have the ball.
What was your opinion on that? Did you think that was a penalty try or not?
It's as close to as it could have been. I can see why they said no, because the other defender was there. But 99 times out of 100, he's just going to fall over the line and score. But
I think you open a can of worms if you give that a penalty try.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the other guy was there, and anyway, so we end up scoring in that set. Tavita Funa just going through a huge hole, and then Sully getting the ball. That was a really nice line by Sully. That's something he's improved on, his outlines. It looked like a huge gap and it ended up being, but if you see it front on, he lined up directly in line with his opposing centre and then shifted on the last step before he got the ball, and that was enough. So that was nice to see. I was like, oh yeah, we're back in this. But fuck, man, like the tries that the Warriors scored were so soft, like off grubby kicks. Cherry Evans just got run past for one, and first try in the second half was horrible. It's just so not the defense that Hasley usually gets out of his teams.
It's been 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Like when we beat Canberra in Canberra 14-6 after losing Trebojevic, after losing whoever else we lost in that game, that compared to this, it's like day and night. It was horrible. So then we lose Tapau to HIA for Hethrington's hit. That was another sin bin when we scored another try. We only scored one try in this whole game against 13 people and lost 26-22. The only upside I got out of Manly's game outside of Sully's line was Ola Kawuda. Oli Kawuda, his try, but from Cade Cuss. There was a camera from the dead ball line facing towards the attacking line. You could see Cade Cuss' face, and he had eyes only for the defender on Ola Kawadu's inside. And Cuss was just looking at him the whole time, didn't look at his runner at all, and waited, and then just popped it with his eyes locked on the defender the whole time. I mean, that's a heads-up play. You could literally see his eyes where they were looking. I went, that's what I want to see from a young half. And he's been impressive. Yeah, it's disappointing.
I think Cuss got a little bit run happy the other night. I don't know if it was because he used to chase some points and he was trying to do too much.
Last week or Friday night?
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just sort of dummy and then just go himself a lot, which I know can happen when you're chasing points. And but I don't know.
I find he does that midfield. I think that's the balance. When we're in the red zone, I find his decision making is better than when it's between the 20s, which is a weird issue for a young guy to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Usually it's in the red zone
because it's
his short kicking game's good, his short passing game's good. But yeah, I agree.
He's definitely he's the right foil for Cherry Evans.
Yes. Yeah, he offers more than Croker does. By a bit.
I've got to say, I feel for Cherry Evans. Since that Dragons game where he had an absolute shocker, he's been your heart and soul of your team.
He's playing real good.
That pretty much the first play of the game summed up Cherry Evans' night. The whole night he was basically had the ball and looking for someone else to do something. He's like, oh well, it's just me. I better do something.
Yeah. It's not. He missed Siren and he missed Thompson, because they're the ones where things are flat. He can give them because he knows that they're going to run a solid, strong line. And without them, they're like you got Boyle, you got Ola Kawudu, you've got Tafua Sipley, who hasn't had much of a run. There's so many. They
took that Ola Kawatu off for a while too, like to bring on Morgan Boyle, and I was just like, "What are you?"
Well, Ola Kawatu hasn't been starting, and he wouldn't have the legs under him. And it's just, I've used this before. Outside of probably Ola Kawatu, Boyle, Kepi, sorry, who's the other one?
Waddell.
Yeah, Waddell. They're all kind of I just refer to them as guys. They're just kind of just warm bodies.
17.
Yeah, to fill out a 17. They don't offer a line. They don't offer the aggression that, say, a Sirinen or a Thompson. They don't offer the size and the strength of a Ola Kawatu. They're your new Josh Jacksons, but without the high-end engine, high-end motor, and they're not gonna. They're literally just there to give the other guys a break, and until you've got that X factor sort of coming off the bench or forcing your way in, it's hard for your starting 13 to do everything.
I think the bench is becoming more and more important, especially with obviously the game speeding up. You look at the successful teams; they've got that punch off the bench. Like look at the Storm; they got this 3 big bodies coming.
Oh
off the
yeah,
bench. And it's just relentless. You don't get a let up.
That's it. And there's
proven the difference.
It's a huge difference. So Manly disappointing, but Warriors, man, like Cody Nicorima's looking good, and this is the first game without Blake Green as well. Channel Harris DeVita, what a week to stand up. Him and Nicorima, I guess, can be their halves for seasons to come if things keep building like that. At least you could tell.
I think the good thing.
Another great
thing about Blake
game for him.
The thing about Blake Green going is like they've had this sort of rotation. It's been Blake Green, and then for a few weeks it'll be Nicorima, and then a few weeks it'll be Chanel, and they've just sort of almost just been worried about their spot. Now it's those two, and they own the side. And I think especially for Harris.
That's a good point.
But Nicorima's been good all year, I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon he's had a good year.
So that's good on the Warriors. They've 2 in a row. They've got Penrith next week, so that'll be interesting. But they'll be up for it after the last 2 wins. So second game Friday night, completely different. So this had the build up. South versus Brisbane. South versus Brisbane. Seabolt Bennett, all that sort of stuff. Didn't end up playing out with Bennett not being there. Talk about halves. Walker and Reynolds controlled the game from start to finish. Reynolds had 5 line dropouts, and South had 6 errors altogether for the whole game. I spoke a couple of weeks ago, I think, when Mitchell had his 2 weeks off, considering all the critics and all the shit he got at the start of the season. South were missing a fullback who could ball play. Johnson couldn't do it. Yep. As soon as he went back to wing, as soon as Mitchell came back in, huge difference. And he's just injecting himself in the right spots in attack. And
so the critics will always be there for Latrell, no matter what he does.
Always.
And he's not a traditional fullback. He's going to be a Greg Inglis sort of fullback that only, like towards the end of Inglis's career, probably more so, where he wasn't the damaging runner coming out of his end. He literally saved himself when they were attacking down the opposition end. Like, that's what he's going to be. Like, if he's got a hand in 2 or 3 tries a game, he's doing his job.
They've got enough game breakers to allow him to do that. Like absolutely. Alex Johnson, Jackson Paulo, Dane Gagai, if he's on the wing, they can all run the ball back if needed. Boyd at fullback again for the Broncos. Now, it's his best position, but the biggest thing he brings to the Broncos is his ball playing ability when he sweep plays.
He's finishing off that back line play.
Yeah. Now, that's great, but if that's literally at this stage of his career, that's his go-to skill. He's not going to get you meters running the ball back. He's not going to contest bombs in the attacking end.
One thing he probably has given them is that stability, though, at the back.
With the communication.
Zarko, that, and actually being able to catch a bomb. Because some of Zarko and that Tessie News efforts, the amount of bombs that were dropped and that they let bounce, like at least Boyd, as much as he's not going to, he generally catches and just falls to the ground, but at least he catches it.
It's true.
It's just stability, and I think that's what they need, rather than some young bloke who's trying to get established in first grade in a sinking ship.
I wonder if that's what Sebo was talking about in the post-match, because he might have just been watching that in no other part of the game, but he said we showed a lot of resilience, a lot of defensive resilience, and like, you only let in 28 points instead of 40 something. Like,
I don't know. I haven't heard the question if it was out of context or anything, but I've got to say,
he went. It's kind of like, what do you think of the game? It was that sort of question.
For probably the first half hour, they were in the game. Like they conceded that try early on to Gagai, which was just poor numbering. But then they hit back with Farnworth, and they were in it until Adam Reynolds saw that kick. and then
Yeah, all right.
just floodgates open. They were just some of the defense.
Were they in it on the
trial.
scoreboard or were they in it on the field?
I mean, Souths were on top, but they weren't going away. I can understand the resilience in parts, but basically, as soon as they've got no resilience under pressure. That's their issue. It's when a team gets a roll on, they roll through them. You see every time they can see
Mark Nichols try
in clumps. That is something you would see in C grade.
Holy shit, man! Like, I felt for Brisbane because I didn't think that was a penalty. Yeah, he got lifted. I don't. To me, it wasn't pass horizontal. It wasn't.
No.
There was nothing.
I've seen them given this year though.
I know, and I hate it. But I felt for Brisbane then. That shouldn't have been a penalty. The other side of it is your try line's the easiest place to defend because you've just got to get back in only one line. He literally, Mark Nichols is a guy. Like I was just talking about with Manly. He's not going to give you anything. He's just going to get the ball and run straight. He's like Martin Lang.
He's the slowest man alive.
He ran through Payne Haas.
Well, actually,
it was the front row.
It was Turpin's bad miss. So Turpin sort of had the front on shot, but got beaten by his footwork somehow. And he sort of like almost shepherded Haas from getting to it. And then whoever was on the other side just did absolutely nothing. But honestly, it was embarrassing. That's all you can say.
Oh, that does not register. To me, that's not resilience. Fuck.
No, but like you got to, in that situation, like Seabold must look at that and then go, that is schoolboy shit that you, like, what can he do about a simple one-on-one miss like that?
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing.
Oh, man. I know. I think, like, out of everything that happened here, my favourite part of this whole game is the most ironic bit where Jackson Paulo put the grubber kick through and it went through Herbie Farnworth's legs, like full nutmeg, and Reynolds went through and scored the grubber. I just love the fact that nutmeg is a soccer term, football term, when the ball goes through your legs. Herbie Farnworth was an academy student at Manchester United. So I love the fact that the soccer dude at Man United actually got nutmegged out of every player on the field. This one who couldn't stop the ball with his legs. I thought that was great for a try for Reynolds. So, yeah, 28-10, to the Rabbits. I still can't. I haven't seen enough of them consistently.
Oh, they beat up on the shit teams, but they're not quite good enough to compete with the good teams.
Nah, they're still just something.
They'll scrape
missing
the 8, I think.
Yeah, it's weird because they've got a damn good back line.
It's the forward pack.
Burgess has been. We talked last week how good he has been. He got disallowed to try and then scored one with just bullocking strength just over the top. And it's good to see him back to playing like he was when South won the premiership. Just those big meters just running and dude, you're like 600 kilos, just run over people. And that's what he's starting to do again.
But yeah, they really, I think Jai Arrow is going to be massive for them because they're just, the thing that they're missing at the moment is Cook's injection in the game. He's just, he can't get into a game at the moment because they're like Mark Nichols, essentially. He's just a guy that's in a jersey. He's not going to get your team on the front foot that Cook can then just go off the back of. He's literally got.
Where are you going to play?
Cam Murray. Hey?
Where's Arrow going to play?
You've got to play on a prop. You cannot move Murray out of the 13.
I know. So I reckon
funny, actually. So,
played Arrow at prop. They were doing it out of necessity from injury, and he was getting meters and stuff, but he lacked so much impact from what he could do at lock.
What's the difference between prop and lock, honestly? A little bit more ball.
I think, like, the locks doesn't have to take that extra responsibility of getting back to take those tough hit-ups on the way out. Arrow does that anyway, but when you actually watch the times, he does a lot of ball playing. Not running to the line and ball playing, but he's a link player like Josh Jackson was trying to do.
Almost like a Jack DeBellin for him.
Yeah, and props are running the decoy lines through that. So I haven't seen him on edge. They can't move
They
Murray
can't move Cameron Murray. Do you know?
unless they
something
throw him
about
on an
that?
edge, maybe, and try and reach him that way.
Spoke to my brother this afternoon about Cameron Murray, and we were talking about Supercoach.
Yeah.
And I brought Damien Cook in last week. He rated less than 50 or something. And my brother said he's like, Cook's had 4 subpar, like lower than 50 scores this season. They've all been when Cam Murray was playing on an edge.
Yeah, I could see that.
So it's just a quick play the ball and getting him on the front foot. That's just what brings him in the game. And that their whole when they made that run to, it might have been under Seabold, but they won prelim 2 years in a row, I think. It was off the back of their forward pack, and then just going off that.
Going. Tell you what, I did do.
Otherwise, it's just the same going out the back left every time.
But I did do a good swap in this week, so I got Munster in my Supercoach. I went, I got him and Harry Grant, and they're both out.
Yeah, I've got them both.
Well, I can't just replace both them. So what I ended up doing, I've had what's his name, sitting there on the bench for a little while, but he's started to get some runs in the centres. Not Willie Army. Oh, who is it?
That Lamello from Cowboys.
Yeah, Hello there you go, the fullback. So I've swapped out Munster and him and brought in Norfoluma and AJ Brimson and still have 90 grand left over.
Yeah, no foes and marks.
That way I can just keep Harry Grant on the bench. So I'm just like, so I've got Norfoluma now and I've got AJ Brimson playing at 5'8" just for a week. And then I'll put him back onto my bench and buy someone decent next week. I'm like,
because who do Titans play this week?
Don't care. Oh, they don't care. Whoever they play, AJ Brimson's doing everything. So, and he's like 200 and something grand at the moment, or 300 grand.
Yeah,
like had 2 good weeks. I'm selling you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there we go too. So there you go. Brings us to Storm versus Bulldogs. First game on Saturday. Few things out of this. So Storm were playing without Cameron Smith and without Pappenhausen and without Finucane. So Finucane was rested, Pappenhausen was rested, Smith's injured. They lose Munster in the 54th minute to a medial. So after Munster goes off, you've got no 5'8", no hooker, no fullback, and no lock. I'm talking about their starting players. They still scored 3 tries in the last 26 minutes. That's nuts. Like, we're talking about Roosters playing well without people. We say, like, no Smith, Munster just steps up and controls everything. And they're fine because Munster's an absolute freak. And he goes off, you go, ooh, all right. So you've got Riley Jacks.
Who went into 5'8"? Did Brandon Smith go to 5'8"?
No, Riley Jacks came off the bench.
Oh, was Riley Jacks on the bench, was he?
Yeah, he was at number 14. So Brandon Smith ended up playing...
Right.
They were kind of chopping and changing. So on one of the Storm's second last try, I think. Yeah, because Adok got the last one. Second last try, Brandon Smith was playing at 5'8", but that's because there was no hooker. I think Felice Kafusi picked it up for dummy half, so it was just like a random one. He showed that he could ball play there. The first 10 minutes of this game was random. It was just frantic, kind of end-to-end. Bulldogs came out with a fair bit of punch. And this was the Lachlan Lewis one that we were just talking about, where they had an opportunity to score down Melbourne's left edge, so Bulldogs' right edge. And he injected himself into the play. But between getting the ball on his left and looking at 4 and it was passing him the ball, and he literally just snapped right and just hoiked the ball to where his winger would have been. And he would have been there. But
Addo was there.
Addo Carr was there. And this ball was in the... It was like a 20-metre pass or 15-metre pass. That's a lot of time for someone like Addo Carr. And he just ran out and said, thank you. And off he went. And that was just...
tries at the Sunny Coast Stadium already.
Oh, he loves it.
3 runaway tries already.
Oh, man, the surface there... I could look like freaking Addo Carr. It was so nice. It was for a girls' rugby grand final last year. And it's freaking like carpet. Inside the grandstand is sick. Like the change rooms and setup, it's awesome. But I just went, man, that's just playing structure. Yeah, you've got the overlap, but if you go hands there, they're coming up out of the line. You're an easy overlap, but that's just poor reading. It was just, I'm going, fuck, man. If I'm Bulldogs supporter, I don't want him getting the ball. Anyway, and then
that's been the Bulldogs' problem for a long time, though. They've been so structured and predictable in their attack that that's why they can't score points. It's just out the back.
They tried globetrotting the ball a fair few times in this game. Yeah, globetrotting, and it didn't work either. So Storm were epic.
I didn't see this result
comes in. No?
Oh, he was good.
Yeah, Nico Hines. So it's like Slater's gone, Pappenhausen comes in. Pappenhausen's rested, Nico Hines comes in. And he was such a Falcons fullback. Drink water, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was good. He's a big fullback too, Nico Hines. Like, he's a big body.
Yeah.
Sweeping out try assist.
It's the same as the Roosters, isn't it?
Yeah, that
next man in.
That's the reason. That's why these guys. Again, I still see just Storm and Roosters because of their ability just to keep replacing players, and the closest Penrith have got to that is Aitkins for Edwards, but they haven't been tested with a large number of injuries at the same time. So when
you look at that Coruscant was out, and they really struggled for fluency in attack.
And he only ended up being out 1 week.
It was the 1 week, but I mean
they still won.
Beat the Titans.
Yeah, they still won, but you could see a vast difference in the play. Storm looked the same, like 41-10 against a Bulldogs team who have been playing like they pushed Parramatta last week 18-16, and
well, that's exactly what I was going to say before. I didn't see this blowout result coming. Like going into this game, I tipped Storm, but I wasn't confident. Like the Dogs had actually played probably 3 weeks of consistently good footy, and were unlucky not to win all 3 of them. Really, when you think about it. But yeah, like it just goes to show that the Storm are just class, and even when
they had a try disallowed
first. Yeah, and they were on the back foot to start the game, and then they just jump on a mistake from the other team that just flips the script.
Now, one thing I think is going to give Bulldogs headaches. Talking about Lachlan Lewis, Kieran Foran was involved in both their tries. Set up one off a kick, set up one off a pass. Now, he's knocked back their first offer of a new contract, so it wasn't enough. But we're saying how much is too much sort of thing now, because he's the only one setting up points for you. You know he's probably only going to play half the games. And we're saying you've got to keep him because you're not scoring points anywhere else. But
I don't know what they do with him.
I like Gus Gould's one where he said, look, you're on 300 grand, you'll get 400 grand if we make the finals, and you'll get 500 grand if we make the grand final. And just have performance-built incentives in there.
Because they know they're not going to get that far.
Yeah. So, shit like that. You're on 300 grand. If you can play enough games and we get to the finals, you get another 100K.
Yeah. I know it's a big thing to say, and it's a rugby league career, and they've only got a certain amount of time to play. But Kieran Foran owes them. Honestly. He's what's he on $1.2 million this season?
And he said no to 400 grand.
Show some faith in the club that's kept their faith in you. And he's come out and said, I'm willing to take unders. I'm not expecting big money. Who else is going to throw 400 grand at him?
That'd put him in the top 100 richest in the league still.
Yeah.
That's...
they need to...
I thought 400 was overs for him, honestly. And he said no to it not being.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going, I would have started at maybe like 250. Maybe.
Yeah. He's also got to look at it though, because if he wants to be in a successful team, he's going to have to take unders so they can spend money elsewhere to get in that stronger club. So I wouldn't be going, and if they go any more than 600, which I think is overs, if they go any more than 600, they've lost a plot. I guarantee you they will.
Oh, they've got all this money. They'll be like, oh yeah, we've got 3 million, we can give him 6, and
well, when you think about it, they're
6. You're giving Kotrick 6.
Well, they're paying Kotrick 600.
Yeah.
Would you pay 600 to Kotrick, or would you pay 600 to Forum to win your game? You'd give it to Forum if he's fit.
To win a game, yeah. To win 5 or 6.
I think you still go Forum. Like,
if he's there for 5 or 6 is what I mean.
He's got to play 5. This is probably the biggest run of games he's had since he was at Manly, I reckon.
Yeah, 4. He's up to.
But he's playing good footy at the moment.
He is, and that's the thing. That's what creates the headache. Like, we know how good he is and how good he can be.
You can guarantee it's going to happen, right? So he'll get the increased offer. He'll sign the dotted line and then get injured.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Everyone seems to play their best footy right when they're off contract.
Because then, like, what do you have, a sore toe the other day and it cost him half a game, and you're like,
and then not losing because they couldn't control the game. Yeah, they've
cut your losses.
The thing is, if they don't sign Foran, who do they sign? There's no one. Well, you can have Corey Norman.
Oh, there you go. Gareth Whittett's meant to come back, isn't he?
Oh, God. Doubt it.
All right.
Yeah,
holy shit, I just saw what the time was. All right. What do we got? 3 to go? No. 1, 2, 3. Fuck, we only done 4. Jeez. All right, sorry. Knights were brilliant. Ponga was sick. All right. Raiders. No, Knights.
Don't give Jarrod too much time.
Knights 44, Tigers 4. Tigers had 14 errors and 31 missed tackles. Probably not going to help. Ponga, 2 tries, 2 try assists, 6 goals, 3 line breaks, 240 metres. Barnett, Fitzgibbon, Clemens, Saifidi set a platform. I was watching the mini game and zooming, so pausing and whatever. There was a try that Knights scored where it was Pearce to Green to Ponga, and it looked so good. Like, they'd been doing it forever, and literally Pearce said that he'd met Blake Green for the first time 2 days prior. And I went, man, that's going to pay dividends. It's the first thing I thought was Pearce. You've now got Pearce to Green to Ponga. Who's going to do what? I mean, that's going to look real good. And Ponga went straight through and scored. Second half, exactly the same setup, but Green hit SASA instead of Ponga. And it paid off. So it was the exact same setup, and SASA just had like a one-on-one, boom, 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 barnstorming run off a full run-up. And I went, well, yeah, it's already started. And then the last one was a Ponga catch and pass. So as soon as you got 3 ball players like that in a line, the one for SASA, there was a 20-metre distance between the West Tigers defensive line and where Ponga would have got the ball if he'd got it. They're creating, and that's the Barnett, Fitzgibbon, Clemmer platform. They're creating 20 metres of time for someone like Ponga to play with.
Well, did you see the try Ponga, the second try Ponga scored, the one where he just burnt Benji?
Yeah.
He literally wasn't even in the frame when the pass was thrown, and he just hit that at pace, and then just absolutely, like, Benji had no chance.
They got so much time. I read in the report on the actual day about Green making an impact 7 minutes in with an inside ball to Ponga. And I went, okay, that's all right, seems pretty straightforward. And then I watched it, and I went, shit, that was easy. And I was going, all right, what sort of magic footwear did Ponga, because I didn't see a gap there to start with. Put on replay, you've got the ruck's formed, and on the right you've got Green, but on the left of the ruck you do have Ponga, but in between him and the ruck is Jacob Saifidi. He actually runs a decoy run straight through the ruck, and that dragged, who was it, Matt Eisenhuth away, because he saw the dummy runner. He followed, Eisenhuth had come from marker or the A defender, and he went with Saifidi thinking he was going to get the ball. And so when Ponga got it, he literally just ran through a hole, and that's why he turned around like this and put the ball down.
Yeah, he's like,
a little step around Mbai, and I went, holy shit, that was a really good run by Saifidi, because it literally just dragged Eisenhuth completely out of the play.
It's a play you see the Roosters run, like back inside the Tedesco a lot.
Yeah.
And like Melbourne used to do it a lot of time for Slater as well, just because everyone's just expecting you to go to the sideline, especially with the fullback sort of hanging out the back of the play. But the moment they come back on that inside run, then the middle just opens up these days.
Yeah, and
I think too many teams try to go around teams rather than going back through the middle, especially with the quick feet like Ponga.
It looked really good. So it's going to be, and the other thing, it took Green's taking so much pressure off Pearce with regards to kicking.
Yeah,
and
I hope it
left foot kicker as well.
For Newcastle's perspective, I hope it actually gets Pearce running the ball again, because like, you can see, as much as Kurt Mann played well, he's a running 5'8". He's not a natural.
Oh, Jarrod never says anything about that.
Oh god,
freaking hate
Kurt Mann's been the best
5'8".
He's been their best player this year.
I know, that's what I keep saying to him. He hates things. He never passes to Ponga.
Yeah, but like, just Green's just got time. He's doesn't panic or anything like that.
Level-headed.
Yeah, like you said, he's got a good kicking game. So Pearce should be able to play a bit more eyes up now, and actually, because he's got one of the best running games going around for a half.
Yeah,
Pearce, when he comes off that right foot.
Well, their games of experience jump from Pearce plus blah up to like 437 or something with him and Green in there. And they just schooled. Tigers' only try came off a deflected kick off Marshall that popped up for Leilua. But I'm just, what else I got down here? Barnett's offload from almost off the ground. They were going to get a penalty anyway. That was so good. Just around the way, almost falling out, round the back, out to Heimel Hunt to score. I know what to make of these Tigers now, eh? Like, their last 3 games, they towel up Brisbane 48-0. They put in a good effort against Para, and then they've just been smoked. Absolutely.
It's just so typical of the Tigers. Honestly,
I thought it looked like they were finally starting to turn
defensively as well.
A corner, like, and I don't know.
They defensively looked like a good team, and then the last 2 weeks, they're just like against the Warriors. Their defense is disgraceful.
Yeah.
And this week, they just got picked apart.
I think Maguire might have gone too far with his chopping and changing. Like, you can drop players here, like with Marshall and Brooks for the defensive, but I think there's been almost too much. Like, even his forwards is rotating. Eisenhuth came from outside the 21 to starting lock, and then got dropped out again, and then straight back into starting lock. It's.
You can see he's frustrated. You can just tell he knows that they're so close, so he's probably making these changes, just these tweaks, just to try and get it right. But they're just going.
We're talking about guys on the bench. West Tigers don't. They've got a couple of guys, but Luke Garner, Luciano Leilua, Matt Eisenhuth, Alex Twal. These guys have more to their game than just warm bodies. They've got skill and running meters. Josh Alawai, yeah, they've got such a good, talented young forward group. McKaylee as well. Just maybe trying to find the balance of who does what when. And they don't have an experienced hooker to be able to do that, but Harry Grant's coming and taking that on board. And Benji's having collecting their backs because they're still young.
They look so much better in attack with Billy Walters at 5'8" than Luke Brooks. He's a shadow of the player he was, Brooks.
Yeah. That's what they got now, unless they bring Reynolds back in. Let's move on to Penrith and the Raiders. And I saw this one kind of as this was one effort too many for the Raiders with their injuries. So since all that's gone down, they had that match against the Roosters where they won. But then they've had the Storm. They've had
The Cowboys last week.
which wasn't an easy one. And they just looked spent in areas on the field. Like the first try, Kikau got a wind up from like 30 metres and the Raiders defensive
That was a nice little set play.
That
was a very nice little set play.
It was, but you're letting literally the form halfback run with the ball, and your defense was just, they were just standing.
They just got caught ball watching.
Yeah, they were just standing there, and then by the time we passed it, Kikau was at full speed, and it was just like, poof.
Yeah.
Even 2-3 minutes off the line.
What actually set the tone for me in that game was the first 6.5 minutes. The Panthers didn't touch the ball once they were dropping out. Canberra had all the ball, 5 or 6 sets in a row, and Bennett just made the most of it as much as what Canberra threw at them. And then the moment they get their first opportunity, they just go bang, and that's what sold me, because I'm like, they've been able to score points, but their defense the last few weeks has just been unreal, and you can just see the confidence in the team, mate.
That's what they do for them, is confidence.
They're a good team to watch at the moment.
They believe in each other, which is huge. Coruscant's ball to Liam Martin to score from like 2 metres out. Elliot Whitehead's face, because he's come to get Coruscant and the pass is gone. He was just like, he was just standing still, looking around to see where the ball went. And he like in his Pommy accent, you could just be like, "Holy shit!" Like, what the fuck happened? And Martin had already scored by the time he turned around. That was great.
Yeah.
And talking about the balance before, Luai jumping in with another little grubber to set up a try. Just jumps in when he needs to, because Cleary's controlling everything. Luai
he just controls that left edge, doesn't he? Just plays pretty much. He doesn't really jump out from those 4 men. It's him, Kikau, Crichton, and Mansell, and he doesn't really get away from that. But generally, whenever he gets involved, something happens.
Yeah, and that looked good. Brent Naden's finish to the end of half was freaking brilliant. And
I can't remember who the commentator was. It might have been Michael Lennis, but he said just everything they're doing at the moment is just crisp. Like that Naden try, for example. He was at full tilt when the pass came to him, and it just hit him on the chest. There was no propping to position himself to catch.
And he wouldn't have scored if he'd had to do that. Yeah,
that's
right. It was fine margins. It's
the same with those Charlie Staines tries. Like, he's just hitting it at a pace, and Cleary or whoever it is just hitting him on the chest. And that's
when I see backlines work like that, it reminds me of Orford to Lyon to Stewart to Maddai or Robertson or someone like that. Like, when you've got, Ballin, actually, he wasn't much of an X-factor player, but shit, he could pass from dummy half. But when you had him, Orford, Lyon, Lyon will have it at pace. Stewart's going to have it at pace. And literally, I just remember times when Maddai would get a ball and we'd still have a winger, and Maddai's running around the defensive winger going, it's just gone so quick. And I remember just watching a season or two of that, just going, this is brilliant to watch. And Penrith are on that right now with that sort of passing. Charles Nickel-Klokstad gets the ball 10 metres out and carries 4 dudes like it's a rugby union maul. He's just like holding the ball, just trucking like you'd expect.
And just slides on in.
And he scored a try that a rugby union prop would be happy scoring. Leg pumping. And he was just carrying dudes. And he fell over the line, and the defenders kind of looked surprised.
Do you reckon he was managed over the try line? Or?
Oh, yeah, he could have been managed over the try line by the Penrith.
He was good. He was really good.
Yeah, I love watching him play, man. He's turned into one of my favourites. He's...
I've got to say, I'm not a big Canberra fan, but he's probably one of a few that I do actually like.
What about George Williams? I like watching him play. I reckon he's a...
I think he's overrated, to be honest. Not as much as Billy.
I know Billy's overrated. We all know Billy's overrated.
I don't think he's a good fit for the Raiders. They just got, not that Caesar was the best half in the world, but he just allowed everyone else just to run. Whereas George Williams is just another runner. He hasn't got a great long kicking game, which means that Jack Whiten has to do his long kicks. And honestly, he's odds on to kick one out in the full every game.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they're missing with Hodgson gone as well.
Did you see his 40-20? Did you see Jack Whiten's 40-20 the other night?
No.
It was a dead set shank off the boot and then somehow landed in and one bounce for a 40-20. Like, I just don't think he hasn't been as effective this year because he probably hasn't had the space to work with because they play so direct, but then they're forced to go sideways almost when they're attacking.
Yeah, if their forwards aren't doing the job, if you play direct.
They haven't got the strike out wide this year. I think they're really missing BJ as much as
Yeah, they're so missing him. But he's worth more points that he scores than what he gives up, even in penalties, and that's saying something. But yeah,
maybe not so much for West.
Can't be replicated. No. I was yeah.
I was going to say, like, Jarrod Croker he hasn't been effective at all this year.
Yeah.
I know they're really. I just don't think they're good enough to beat the top four teams.
Not anymore.
They're not good enough. I think they're just making up the numbers. Even with Hodgson, I think they're just making up the numbers this year.
I'd say so. Penrith have equalled their club record 8 straight wins, which they did in 2003, which is the last time they won the premiership. So that bodes well. But I was thinking, all right, so this Raiders, when I thought it going, one effort too many. So look back at some of their last games. Do you know the highest? This is the weirdest season of games I think I've ever seen a team play. Do you know what the Raiders' highest score is all season?
The Raiders'
Just
highest score.
points they've scored in a game this season.
It would have been against the Titans in round 2, was it?
Nah.
I'm trying to think. Because they beat up on
they versed the Raiders. They versed the Titans in round 1. Do you mean that one?
Oh, was it? And then the Warriors in round 2.
Yeah, I'll just bring them up
they
here.
Only put 22 on us.
Yeah, so they beat Titans in round 1. That was 20.
Was it against the Roosters?
They beat the Titans 24-6 in round 1.
Yeah.
That's the most points Raiders have scored in a game this year. 24.
Against the Titans. Yeah.
They've scored 24 3 times. They beat the Titans in round 1. They lost to the Eels in round 7, that awesome game, 25-24.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then they beat the Roosters 24-20. That's the most points the Raiders have scored, 24. That's so low.
Even last year, their attack was never that great.
No, but this is what, then I start looking, and this is even, to me, this is weird. They've played 13 games this year. Do you know how many times they've led in 20 points or more in 13 games?
Would have been against the Roosters, the Eels, and the Panthers, and the Storm. So 4.
5, because the worst game they've had was 34 against the Knights, 34-18. But 13 games.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. 13 games, only 5 times has the opposition scored 20 points. So, 8 games, they've kept the opponents to less than 20. But they've only scored 24 points as their highest score. It's the weirdest run of games that I've seen. It's just so many low scores everywhere. The Knights one's an outlier, 34-18, but there's 14-6 they win, 14-6 they lose. 25-24, they lose. 22-16, they win. 20-14, they lose. 24-20, they win. 18-12, 14-12. It's so weird. Their defense is so good. Like, 12 points. If you're letting in 12 points and 14 points, you should be winning. And yet they can't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so weird.
I think it comes down to the Williams and Whiten combination. I think. It like you throw Charnsey in there as well. He's not a ball player, and especially now, like they could probably get away with it a bit more when Hodgson was there, because I guess you could almost compare it to Storm, like because they've got Munster, they've got Hughes, they've got Pappenhausen. They're three runners essentially. They're three fullbacks, but they can get away with it because Smith's that dangerous and creative at a dummy half. So
Havili's not going to be doing that.
But at the moment, Havili's a very average dummy half.
Yeah, he's not going to be doing that.
I'm surprised. I can't believe Starling's not starting, to be honest.
I just thought that was such a weird. I was surprised by 24 points, but then I was surprised by how little apart from 28 and 20 and 34, they've been really good defensively, but haven't been winning. Anyway, Titans are now the top team in Queensland, which is showing how good Origin's going to go. 30-10, they pants the Cowboys. AJ Brimson, 2 tries, a try assist, saved a try. Brian Kelly, looking awesome. 45 post-contact meters for a centre in the first half only. Kevin Proctor, desire effort there. His dive to keep that grubber alive to set up a Titans try was brilliant.
Yeah.
Even talk about him wanting to re-sign to be there for the good
attitude.
times. It's attitude. That's 100%. He wants to sign because he sees good things to come.
He's the most experienced player. Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing is, so he's a captain. He's however many games. He should be bringing that week in, week out, and the rest of the players will follow him.
Yeah, and he hasn't been.
If you see that from your captain, you're going to try and match him. No, he's been very average since he's signed there, to be honest.
I said 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks when we did the Titans thing, I'd take him off the roster. He's on $550,000. Let him go to the Warriors, somewhere that can use him, because he's not doing enough. And the last 2 weeks has shown what he can do.
No.
Like, you got to try, try assist, 2 tries, try assist, a try, try saver. He looks so good. Cowboys, 35 missed tackles. I think 20 of them were Michael Morgan on his return. How could a more amped up return be so bad? He looks so bad. But next week...
He's been out for a long time.
He has. Next week could be
the thing is, right, so
halves pairing since round 2, which he was going to drink water.
He was missing tackles when he was fresh, so that's the thing. Like, he missed the majority of them in the first half, so you couldn't even put that down to fatigue or anything like that.
He looks a shell of the player he used to be.
Some of the defensive efforts from the Cowboys were up there. They were probably worse than some of the Broncos' efforts. Like that one where Kelly just somehow got the 3 defenders that slipped off him, and then he put Brimson over. And Kevin Proctor's first try, that was terrible.
Yeah, just
what did Josh Hannay say? It was something they disrespected the jersey in the club or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's coming from a club legend, like someone who played almost his whole career at your club. I guess a shine like Cole Felt. It's like 3 seasons in a row now where his form has not dropped. He's looking awesome under the high ball. He's still scoring tries. He's going to be a Queensland Origin winger. He has to be. The way that he's going.
He'll play Origin this year.
He has to. Like the big body out wide, he's finishing.
It'll be him, and if Holmes is fit, it'll be him and Holmes, and then I think Gagai's going to end up having to play centre, sadly.
Yeah, and that's not a happy household mine at the moment, because Manly and Cowboys, like,
of course,
right now.
Yeah.
bloody hell, I don't think either of us would want to
Yeah.
watch it, even if there's a chance one of us would win. But good on the Titans. Like the one positive shining light, I guess, for the Queensland team, dropped to 13th. Woohoo! And Kieran might actually win his bet of them winning 4 more games than they did last year. So they've got to win 8 games for him to win his bet, and they're up to 4 now. So they need to win 4 of their last 6, and we gave them a chance to do so. And they don't have the hardest run in, but they don't have
They play us. They play Brisbane. They've already played Cowboys. I'm trying to think who else they got. They have Warriors again.
Yeah, they should. They've got a half decent. This is one of the ones they had to win because this is one of their easier ones. They do have a couple of tough ones here. I'll just bring it up. So they've got So they got the Sharks next week. Not going to be easy because Sharks have been playing well. Then they got the Raiders. They could do that. Then they got Dragons. They could do that. They got the Bulldogs. They can do that. Then they got the Broncos, they can do that. Seagulls, they can do that. And then Knights. So they're all kind of, I wouldn't say they're all 50-50s, but they're all within the 60-40, 70-30 range. So
yeah, there's 3 that are very, very
4 of those. Yeah. So they in with a crack for Kieran to win at least 1 bet this year. All right, now the last game of the round. I loved watching this game. This is the one I watched the most of. For a game that was 14-12, you'd expect it to be a bludge of a game. It was.
The thing is, though, like the 2 halves were like polar opposites. The first half was actually a really high standard of footy, like completions wise, and then whatever happened in the second half, it just turned to an absolute shambles.
But the second half, they played what the conditions meant they should play like. It was. Well, that 10-0 in 50 minutes.
Blake Ferguson in particular.
Oh, God, man. Like, the next time Parramatta's playing on a field where it's been pissing down rain, I'm paying admission just to watch Blake Ferguson play. Like, he looks like a winger who hasn't scored a try all year and he's getting so desperate because he was that one off the dropout where he just caught it and just like balloon past it. Infield 20 metres.
The odd rainbow pass.
Straight out. Oh, my God. He was going to knock on out of nowhere. And the ball went straight through his hands.
I watched it with my old man who's a diehard Parramatta fan, and he was ripping out his hair pretty much every time Ferguson touched the ball.
It was hilarious.
He froze when he threw that pass. Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Junior Porter tries to trap it, and Dugan comes along.
It was
a climb.
What was I saying? Like, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, for those who haven't watched it, it was hissing down rain. Like, just walking, the players were kicking water up. It was bucketing down. They should have been just wrapping it up and just doing single hit-ups. Both teams in the first half were ripping the ball around like it was dry weather. Sean Johnson was playing. Him and Ronaldo Mulatalo looked like they were playing on dry weather because Mulatalo scored 2 tries that on a normal day you'd be happy with, a juggle and a regather. And then in these conditions, Sean Johnson had 2 try assists, a 40-20 in like the hardest conditions you can ever kick a 40-20 because you don't know if the ball's going to stop or skid. A huge try saver where he ran down Mitch Moses. He had another try assist taken back for offside by like half a step, which it was offside. Any other day they could have been. The only downside is he missed 3 goals. And they lost 14-12. And I wanted the Sharks to win just based on how well Sean Johnson played. He's got 18 try assists this year, 5 ahead of second.
Dylan the amount of shit he cops, like it's good to see.
Dylan Brown with the 2 biggest dummies in the universe.
That first one was just ridiculous. And then the fact they fell
Killer,
for it.
like, Parramatta scrambled so well to stop Reid Marnie. And you're like, oh, great, what a tackle. And he's 5'8", dummies and jumps over from dummy half. Far out.
Yeah.
But
no, it was a very entertaining game of footy.
I was watching that, reminded of a game we played in Coolum where it was pissing down rain. And you just feel like kids. I think the commentators said, Joey Johns, I think it was. He had to repeat himself twice because it's Joey Johns. But I think it was a scrum play saying, give it to Jennings, let him get speed up and just dive at the line from 20 metres out and you'd probably slide in. You just jump into a gap from 20 metres out and you'll slide the whole way. It was hilarious. It was that wet that they had to redo the lines at half time because they'd been washed away. You couldn't see the 20 metre line. There was so much water on the field.
Especially with all the they had all the soccer markings there.
Yeah, it was when they were doing the 20 metre tap. They were like looking for the sideline, looking around, and the rest kind of standing kind of where it should be because you couldn't see the red. The 40-20s were hilarious because you didn't know whether they were in the 40 where the 20 metre line was. It was just, I haven't seen a game that wet. And no mud. There was no mud. It was just all water and grass. It was nothing to watch. And it was...
It reminded me of that game in Perth going back.
Oh, yes.
Early, like 2011.
Yeah, Warriors
They showed the highlights on the Matty John show. Yeah, remember Chris Silver put that grubber in?
It just
literally, it was going dead for all money and then just stopped and Reece Wesley came through and scored.
And then you saw Matt Moylan. They brought the Parramatta defence up and he put the grubber kick in from behind. It was a perfect decision. And it just kept bouncing and just kept going and going, end up rolling by like 10 metres. And you could just see him just go, the one kick that didn't hold up, it just kept bouncing like there was no water on the
he had a shocker. He had an absolute shocker.
So I went, that's a great play because Katoa had no one in front of him. He would have just run through and, it kept bouncing. It had to be the one time.
I think that the issue that Moylan did there, because he didn't kick it straight into the ground, so it didn't have a chance to slow down. He sort of kicked it like, it sort of in the air and almost torping a bit, so it just skidded,
Sharks have got to be considered unlucky. They had a try taken back for offside, which it was. But Johnson missing 3 goals. Parramatta getting the win with a penalty goal, win at 14-12.
And then Ferguson's knock on at the end that wasn't called.
Oh shit! I might have missed
Coming
that.
Out of his end.
I was happy. I think that was fine. It went.
Yeah.
It went back.
I don't know.
I thought that was just my favourite game to watch. The fact that just how wet it was. Parramatta winning a scrum against the feed.
It's like that anymore.
Nah.
Yeah.
It was great.
The funny thing with that scrum against the feed was the fact that the Sharks purposely trapped it in the scrum to try and catch Parramatta.
Yes. Parramatta just pushed them over the top of the ball. It had a game. And then Sean Johnson's 40-20 was freaking perfect. And it was in the toughest conditions. I just had so much fun watching it. It just made me want to be out there playing because they would have been hating it, but just having so much fun. Well, anyway, so...
Did you see Dylan Brown after the game? He was like, it reminded me of like playing back home, obviously back in New Zealand. He's like, this is what we grew up playing in.
Yeah.
Did you also see his comments about Blake Ferguson?
Nah. What is
it? Like, he got asked about Fergo's second half, and then he's like, no, Fergo's right. He's like, maybe it was just the cold weather getting to his bald head or something like that.
I've never seen a winger so desperate to score a try. I think last week he tried to scoot the blind side and jumped over the sideline by himself because he could. Did you see that last week?
Yeah.
It's like, I reckon I can reach out.
He literally took 2 steps.
He just jumped over the sideline. He's so desperate to score a try.
Oh, shocking.
Oh,
What do you make of Parramatta?
I keep saying, I really think they're missing Madison when he hasn't been there. Honestly,
Yeah, their right edge defense, especially.
yeah, the defense, but also Jarrod's saying they're using the wrong way sometimes, just as like just gaining meters. And I think that the more I've watched the 2 weeks that he hasn't been there, yeah, they use him like that, but it also means the defense knows he's going to be getting the ball. So he's one of the best decoy runners now because he gives Gutherson a foil. And if he does get the ball, you need 2 defenders on him because he's strong, he's fast, he can run through people, but he can also offload.
He can offload.
And I think they're just missing everything since he's been out has had to be Moses, Brown, and Gutherson. But when you watch the weeks before that, Gutho, more people were getting their hands on the ball, scoring Jennings, Sevo, that sort of stuff, based on either a quick play of the ball from the other side of the field, or Madison attracting to, or him putting the decoy to give the other guy space. It'll be interesting to see how much he brings back, but I think even with him there, they're still missing. I spoke a couple of weeks ago. I was expecting them to get tired. So they had those 3 weeks where they had Storm, Roosters, Raiders. Those 3 big games, and Manly, the one that they lost against Manly.
And Penrith in there as well.
Yeah, so they had 4 or 5 massive games in a row. And it would have had to take it out of them. I think they're still getting their groove back after those games because they were intense games. They weren't just against good teams, but they were just intense. Also, the one against Tigers it was as well, where Tigers ran with them a long way. I'm not worried about them.
I think they're probably the 4th best team in the comp at the moment.
The reason why I didn't say before with Penrith is they don't have that. It's one thing to do this all year. It's another thing to do this in the finals where everything's on the line.
In the finals.
And they haven't had the deep finals run with this team yet. I just know what that feels like.
I don't know if Parramatta have that game breaker that the other teams have. They're a good team and they're disciplined and they stick to their structures, but they probably don't have that player that can either take over the game or they can really break a game open like your Roosters, your Panthers do, and even Storm.
Yeah, I think Cleary's got the right head on him for Penrith, but I don't know what all the rest of them are going to do under the pressure of finals, where everything's on the line.
No, but they do played have Origin. Strike, though, that can create something out of nothing.
They've got strike when you catch the ball, and you do it when it's all on the line. Cleary's played Origin. You look at the rest of that team. Mansour's played Australia.
A game or two. James Tarmow's won a premiership. Coruscant played in the grand final.
Coruscant. It's sprinkled there, but like you look at the Storm, you go
probably a year off. I reckon.
Yeah, a year off, I'd say. I still think they're overachieving, but they've proved a lot of what I thought about them wrong this year. But yeah, I still think they're a year off, just experience-wise. But they could be that West Tigers of 2005 where they just played that style of footy and it got them all the way there and they won it. Anyway, that's a huge episode. I just saw how long it's been going for, but that's cool. So at the end of round 13, we got 6 games to go. Penrith on top on 23. Storm and Eels tied for second on 22 points. Roosters on 18. Raiders in 5th on 16. Knights on 15. And then the Rabbitohs and Sharks fill out the 8 on 14 points. You got Seagulls on 12. West Tigers and Warriors on 10 points each. And then you've got Dragons and Titans. And they're pretty much the last 2 who have possibility of finals. Now, we're looking at 20 points minimum to make finals. They've got to win their last 6 to get to 20 points. So Titans and Dragons. Cowboys, Broncos,
Easy.
and Bulldogs are out of the finals, you would say. Even if they win their last 6, it's going to put them on 18 and 16 points respectively. Right now, as it stands, that would put them in 4th and 5th spot with 6 weeks to go. So you would assume that Sharks and Rabbitohs are going to win at least 2 games each out of the last 6. So you'd say Cowboys, Broncos, Bulldogs, your seasons are done. Unless there's a massive change. Thanks for filling in, Wally. That was really fun. That's probably the most analysis we've done on games in a while. Guys.
Anything will sound good after speaking to Jarrod for so long.
Yeah, true. Jesus. We miss you, Jarrod. So it's now, it's 11:15. That's all right. Do you want to interact with the show? I know Benny Taylor has sent through a voice message. I knew today was going to be big, so we'll save that one for Wednesday, Benny, but we'll get you on the show. Our website's always in the write-up. Otherwise, jump on there to chat with us anywhere else. All the platforms are on the website. Good luck, Wally. Who'd you say you got next week? Dragons have got... Who you got?
Parramatta.
Oh, have fun with that one.
Which is like Parramatta.
I don't even... Oh, no, I've got Knights. Bloody hell. What a time for Jarrod to come back. So that'll be brilliant. All right. Hopefully we can both get a win and start getting back on track. You have to. I've got a couple more weeks of false hope, I guess.
Yeah, you got Tommy Turbo coming back, mate. You'll be right.
Yeah. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Dylan Edwards, Matt Moylan, Tom Travojevic. Far out. All right, dude. See you later.
See you, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to 6 Again. Connect with the show on Twitter, Instagram, and the 6 Again website. All links via the show's bio. Be sure to check out Adam's craft beer choice of the week.